Okay, so we're gonna try this again. Hopefully this link is working and you can access the video live. So if you look on our YouTube channel, the first half is already there, so you can go back and watch that. So we're just gonna pick up right where we left off with the question of what was your favorite part about GARS? So we're just gonna go down the line and see what people say. Stacy, can you start?
Sorry, y'all. I was muted. My favorite part about GARS had to be the social events. It was the opportunity to see everyone outside of that, like interview, professional situation. So you really got to see everyone break out of their shell a little bit and have those conversations that kind of get to know you outside of the standard like student affairs, like what was your track, how did you get here. So that had to be my favorite part.
Great, thank you. Suzanne and Jordan, do y'all want to go?
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. I think for me, I won't like name an institution or anything, but I didn't have a great hosting experience at another interview weekend. So I think what really stood out to me the most about my GARS weekend was my host. Shout out to Sarah Beth, one of our awesome second years. It meant so much to me that she gave up her bed for me, and she let me have like her whole room to myself. She shared with her roommate, and so it meant a lot to me to have my own space. And she showed me like where I could hang up my interview clothes, and she just really made me feel extra special and comfortable. And I think what really like was the like kicker was I know on the GARS sheet you all get to say what some of your favorite snacks are, and I listed like quite a few to give like with the intention of giving options, and Sarah Beth bought me all of them. So I had like a giant bag of pretzels, a whole big thing of Twizzlers, M&Ms. So I was like decked out with snacks. I almost couldn't even fit them in my suitcase to get back home. But it just really meant a lot to me.
Yeah, so my favorite part about GARS was meeting the other candidates. So that kind of spread across both prior to coming, while we were there, and then keeping up with people afterward, because that's going to be your cohort. And our cohort other. We take all of our classes together and things like that. So the cohort really is important. So I liked getting to know who was going to be in my cohort. It was nice to meet the other grads too, but you know the second years aren't going to be here when you arrive in the fall. Unfortunately, I'm graduating. So I liked kind of talking to other candidates and I don't know, just the overall socialization. I think that GARS provides a lot of opportunities to talk to different people in casual settings, so take advantage of that. Try not to clump with, the first person you meet and stick around with them all weekend, but try to meet as many people as you can, because your cohort's so important for the next 2 years of your life.
Great, thank you. Michael, can you answer?
Yeah, so my favorite thing about CU-GARS is the people. You get to meet a lot of people that may potentially be in your cohort and maybe not. But regardless, you're all there for this same experience, and you're all there because you care about the field of student affairs, which I think is really cool, because I didn't really even know student affairs existed as a field until I stepped here on Clemson's campus. So regardless of where you end up in the process, it's really cool just to network with those people that are all trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do, which is student affairs. So it's really a good opportunity to expand your network, hear from faculty. Our faculty are phenomenal, and former colleagues that are in the same shoes as you.
Great, thank you. Haley, can you share?
Sure. I have to agree with what mostly everyone has said. Is definitely the people. I've met a lot of people who are in our cohort now, but also others that I'm friends with on Facebook that went to other institutions, and so it was a good time for me to like network and get to know people. I actually met my roommate at GARS, and so that was really cool that I was able to meet her. And let's see, going to 55 Exchange, the ice cream shop in Hendricks, where the interviews will be, that was another favorite part of my interview weekend. But I think just really getting to know like the culture and the climate on campus, asking, good questions and getting good responses. And everyone that I interacted with was really authentic, and I definitely felt at home. And so I think that just being able to really get to know professional staff, the faculty, and just the students in the program was definitely my favorite.
Great, thank you. So there are a lot of different perspectives on favorite parts of GARS, but that just shows that it's such a great weekend. Our next question is, do you have any advice or words of wisdom for people coming into GARS next week? Michael, can you answer that for us?
So talking about coming to GARS and just that process, we have 36 assistantships that are available, and as competitive as it is, because a lot of people are coming to GARS, we have a very large amount of people this time. Yeah, what other information are you looking for, Jess?
Just if you have any final words of advice for the candidates.
Yeah, so final words, just really kind of be yourself, try to relax, do things that will make you comfortable as you prepare to come to Tiger Town. I know that I was jamming out in my car to Eye of the Tiger, just really trying to get into it, trying to get motivated. So kind of do whatever you need to do. I was like doodling during interviews. I think that you know yourself better than anyone else, so anything you can do to just kind of de-stress during the process so that you can be the best you during the interview.
Great, thank you. Stacy, can you also touch on any words of advice?
So my biggest words of wisdom are to be your 100% authentic self. That is a great opportunity for you to showcase who you are. There's not a type of person that Student Affairs is looking for, or that these assistantships are looking for. They're looking for a great fit for you and for them. So if you go in being your 100% authentic self, I think that is where you will see great positive vibes for you and just have a more positive experience.
Great, thank you. Jordan and Suzanne, can you touch on that as well?
Yeah, sure. So my piece of advice, and this worked for me, if it doesn't work for you, like Michael said, you know you best. I'm naturally an introvert, though, so being in GARS, it's like sensory overload. You're around people all the time. You're interviewing, which is stressful, but it helped for me to still push myself and be social and to get to know people, because this is a really important decision and investment that you could be making in coming to Clemson. So I would just try to take advantage of every single opportunity, every single conversation that you possibly can, but still take care of yourself if that's what you need to do. But I know it helped for me to really bring out as much extrovert as possible during the weekend and get to know as many people as possible.
Yeah, in the same vein, I think you need to just kind of do whatever works best for you. So Suzanne was saying that she's an introvert, and I would consider myself an extrovert, but these interview weekends are exhausting no matter who you are. If you haven't gone to one yet, be prepared to feel tired afterwards. You're having interviews, you're meeting people, you're trying to remember their names, you want to be yourself, you're also trying to absorb as much information as you can, since this might be your only time to visit campus or learn a lot about campus before making a decision. So that's not to scare you, but to do whatever you need to do. So if that means to get a good night's sleep, you need to bring a certain pair of pajamas or even a stuffed animal, or you do whatever you need to do that helps you get that good night's sleep, that helps you relax. If, like we talked about in the previous half of the chat, so if you haven't seen it yet, we talked about the socials a little bit. If that's not going to help you unwind and feel good the next day, don't feel pressured to go to those. Or if that is how you're going to unwind and feel good about it, go to them. But you really need to focus on doing you, and everyone in this cohort is supportive of that starting from day one at GARS, and that support of doing what makes you happy is one of my favorite things about the cohort in general.
Great, thank you. Haley, can you touch on that a little bit as well?
Sure. I definitely relate a lot to what Suzanne said. When I was at the interview day, I was very overwhelmed because I did feel I wanted to be introverted, and so I definitely pushed myself to make sure to get to know other people around me. And so I definitely just definitely collectively what all the other grads have said, like, be yourself. I know something that my mentor told me before I came here was you want to be yourself, because if you interview for a position and you're just trying to impress them and then you end up getting that position but you weren't really yourself, that's going to be like a weird dynamic going into that assistantship. And so I definitely just recommend being who you are, and just getting to know other people around you, I think, is the biggest thing. Have good conversations and, set goals for yourself, but also, find what works for you. And so I know that for me, after every interview I went back and I had like a journal, and I went and I wrote some talking points that I remembered with the interview that I had, and so that when, after all the interviews, I was able to kind of reflect on everything and kind of just understand what happen, because it does, all the interviews go by so quick and the whole weekend goes by really quick. And so just really find what will help you feel that sense of comfort and not feel so stressed out. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, utilizing, your host or your host or whatever it's called to feel more comfortable.
Great, thank you. So that's all the formal questions that we have planned. So now we're going to jump to our social media questions. This one is, do you have any advice for people who may get overwhelmed easier, more specifically the introverts of the group? So Haley, can you touch on that for us?
Sure. I think that we've definitely hit on that a little bit, but like I said before, just really doing what makes you feel best. So I actually didn't go to any of the socials. I chose to, after interviews and the bigger, larger sessions, I made a priority to make sure that I put as much into those sessions that, the larger group was at. But when it was the optional social events, I actually did go home because for me, that's what I needed to decompress and just to, feel relaxed for the next day. And so I think that, that's a big thing too. It's just being comfortable because, we're in this world, student affairs, introverts versus extroverts. It's kind of a thing. People, understand if you do need some time alone. So just do what you need to do for yourself because that's what, at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you.
Great, thank you. And I also think it's important to note that at GARS we do have a separate quiet room and prep room. So if you are feeling overwhelmed and you need to get away from the larger group, you can always go to that just to kind of quiet down, prepare yourself, take a deep breath, whatever you need. So yeah, the next social media question is going to be about what socials we're actually going to offer. So Jordan, can you touch on that for us?
So when we keep referencing these socials, so you'll get, you've seen a little bit of the schedule, and you'll get more up-to-date information as you find out your host, and you're going to connect with your host, so you'll get lots of details from them. But kind of the big picture is Thursday night we wanted to show you all another opportunity that's in downtown Clemson. So we're going to go and get ice cream at Spill the Beans. It's kind of like a fun create your own ice cream if you have like a DQ Blizzard. It's kind of like that. You can put whatever you want in it. They also have coffee. It's very comfortable, lots of couches, and we're going to play trivia there. Suzanne and I are actually on like the award-winning student affairs trivia team, so we'll definitely be there. Well, I can speak for myself.
I'll be there.
But and then so that's like just a fun unwind. Should be a pretty low-key night, but an opportunity to team build. I know I still remember who was on my team for trivia when I was at GARS. And then on Friday night, we'll start the night with a pizza dinner and bowling in our campus bowling alley, and that will just be with grads. That's done by our student personnel association, SPA. And then after that is when we'll go to Backstreets, one of the bars in downtown Clemson. And like I said, there'll be food and opportunity to hang out. All of those are optional, and you're welcome to attend if you want to, and you can go with your host, you can go with other candidates, go in a big group, and Michael, featured on this chat, is going to be our host, so get excited. I know that, like I said, Suzanne and I are pretty excited to crush some trivia.
Great, thank you. We have another social media question. This one is actually directed directly at Michael. So Michael, one of our current grads would like to know what you named your plant. She also said it's very cute.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, I haven't named it yet, but I think we could name it right now. I think I'll name it Connor. It looks like a Connor to me. And Connor is actually another grad in the program who's been helping us with some technical difficulties during our Google Hangout. So why not name the plant Connor, right? Shout out to my boy Connor.
So now we have Michael and Connor and Michael's screen, which is nice. So for our next social media question, when are you going to hear about who your host is? Stacy, can you answer that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a part of the hosting committee, and you all have been diligently filling out the forms for accommodations. So our team is planning to meet this Friday evening to take all of these names and find some awesome people for you to stay with. So once we get all of that sorted through, get you matched with everyone, we will then send that out to our hosting and our hosts and our FOSTs, and then it'll be up to them to contact you, which hopefully they should do so by this weekend or early next week. So they'll be able to send you all the information about who they are, where they live, how to get there, and create that good experience for you to be able to connect and understand where you're going. And you'll have that one-on-one, or you might have a couple people staying. One host may be hosting more than one candidate. So have that opportunity to be able to connect with other candidates while you're being hosted, but also being able to connect with your host more one-on-one for direct questions and where to go.
Great, thank you. So we have one more social media question, it looks like. So if you have any more social media questions, go ahead and tweet at us. But our last one is, if you are taking a shuttle in from the airport, will you be going directly on a campus tour, or will you be able to connect with your host and drop your stuff off? So Jordan and Suzanne, can you kind of co-tag that for me?
Yeah. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, but you should be prepared when you come in on Thursday to go straight to the opening dinner. Ideally, there will be time for you to connect with your host and to go to your host's apartment or house and change, freshen up, things like that. But last year, with the way some of the shuttles came in from the airports, there wasn't a lot of time in that transition between arriving at Clemson and the start of the opening dinner. So you will have your bags with you when you get there. So even if you don't want to wear your opening dinner clothes the entire day that you're flying and traveling, at least have them ready to go in the bag, and don't need ironing and all that other stuff, just in case you don't have time to go back to your host's place. I will also, Stacy said that you may also, one host may be hosting more than one candidate, which may also complicate you going back to your host's place. Like if your host is waiting for two different candidates to arrive at Clemson, they may not have time to drive both of them back and forth, or potentially if there's more than two, then it could get even more complicated. So just be as flexible as possible with your host, but we really are here to help. I will also throw in there, if you need anything, please ask your host. You can, use my mascara if you forgot yours. So, seriously, we're here to help, and we're going to try to be as flexible as possible. But just realize that on that opening day, it might be a little time crunched.
Yeah, definitely use, like Stacy was talking about, you'll hear who your host is, and your host will reach out to you as well with their contact information, if texting works well for them, or email is better, or Facebook messaging, whatever. They'll be as transparent with you as possible. I know all of us are excited about this interview weekend, but that also means that we have duties as part of the weekend as well. So if we can take you where you need to go, we'd love to, but are all just going to be flexible. But like I said, and like Suzanne said, ask your host. They're happy to help you. Everyone would rather plan as much as they can and help you figure it out, but definitely flexibility is number one.
Great, thank you. So we actually did have one more social media question roll in. This one's for Michael again. When is Ralph coming back?
Okay, so Ralph is actually my mustache. Rest in peace, Ralph. He's not really here right now, but if you stick around long enough and you get selected, that is an incentive that you can look forward to, because I will be growing Ralph back as soon as possible.
Great, thank you. So I don't see any more social media questions, so I think that Haley, Suzanne, Jordan, Connor, Ralph, Michael, and Stacy and I are all going to say good night. But if you have any other questions, go ahead and tweet at us. Go ahead and post on Facebook. We'll definitely answer them, and we look forward to seeing you in about a week and a half. So have a good night, y'all.